Hello folks, in this video we will try to understand what is prop drilling in React, what are the problems with it and how we can solve it using useContext. So we have one simple React app here with one state variable named user with his name and email ID, and we are basically printing the same in our screen. So now let's say we have two more components here. So I will create another component. I will name it navbar, and after the navbar, let me create another component and I will name it, let's say, user profile. And now let's assume that we are printing our username and user email directly inside the app. Now let's say we have the navbar inside our app, and inside the navbar we have the user profile. So consider it like parent, child and grandchild, and we want to basically print our username and user email inside our user profile. So what I want to do is something like this. So here I will write return, and let me just create one div, and here I want my username and user email. Now the question is how can I get access to the state variable that I have declared in my app into my user profile? And that is something we can do by prop drilling. So inside my basically app, I will render my navbar, and here I will pass the user as a prop. I will get access to the same inside my navbar, and here I will pass the same thing to my user profile. So I will return user profile. I will pass the user as prop, and then I will get the access to the same inside my user profile, and now I can print. So basically there will be no change. However, if let's say something is missing here, let's say we are not passing the user something inside the navbar, because as you can see we are not really using it, then we will get an error. So we are getting this error, and that is cannot read properties of name, and that is correct because the user profile does not have access to the user, and because there is no direct connection between the app and the user profile, it should go through the navbar whether it is being used or not. And this is what we call prop drilling. It looks like that we are drilling the props from the app to the user profile, basically from parent to child to grandchild, like that, whether or not they are being used in between. So this is how we can do these things, but there is also a limitation, and that is lots of props are being passed often without using it. Now there is a simple solution to this issue, and that is by using one React hook called useContext. So now we will see how we can use useContext. So first of all, we have to import useContext like we import useState. So I will write import useContext, and we also have to import create context, and this should be useContext, not userContext, from React. That's all. And now we will create one variable called userContext, and here I will write create context. That's all. Now inside my app, instead of like passing these things as props, I want to pass in a different way. So here I will have my user. Now inside my return, I will, let's say, remove the navbar because I am no longer passing it inside my navbar. Instead we will do something different and you will see it. So I will wrap the whole thing inside this user context that we declared at the top. So I will write user context and then dot provider, and here I will pass the user as a value. Now I can close this thing and it will come here. Now since we know that in React we have to pass everything inside one single div or single tag, I will basically keep everything inside this user context, so the whole thing will be wrapped inside. Now there is an issue, and that is because of the same thing, that user profile doesn't have the access to user, and that is because inside my user context I also have to pass my navbar, but I no longer have to pass any data. So for example, inside my navbar I have user and this that. Now this is an issue, and that is because we are not passing any data, and that is also because we don't really need it. So I will remove the user and everything, but I will render the user profile. Now inside my user profile I still do not have access to the user, and now we will see how we can get the access. So inside my user profile I will create const user equals to useContext, the hook that we imported at the top, equals to useContext, and now it will have access to one user. And now if I refresh, save, I see some issues here. Let's try to find out what is the issue. And the issue they are saying is that okay, so there is some issue with this user in this line number 23, and that is because the user profile does not have any props called user. So that is why this issue is coming, and which is correct. So let me just remove it and save, and as you can see we have the same result as before. So how is this happening? So the user context that we are creating at the top, this is basically wrapping our whole app. So anything we are entering, be it navbar or be it another component inside the navbar. So let's say I'm creating another function called header, and which will be, let's say, parent of the navbar. So I will return the navbar over here. So navbar, and inside my parent, instead of the navbar, I will just pass my header. And now also if I refresh, you will see no changes, and that is because this header, navbar and everything is being wrapped inside the user context, and the user context has a value with the data of the user, and whichever function component requires this user, we can directly access it from creating one user variable and using the useContext hook. So this is how the whole prop drilling, there is no really need to do that anymore, but we can directly get access to these variables. And this thing is widely used, let's say when we are trying to store some credential information. So let's say some user is logging in and we want to store that information across everything, across all the components, and in those cases we can actually use useContext. It is a very valid use case. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.